astonishing for me. Just the, this country boy coming over here all the way to Savannah. I saw people like Linda Murray. I took a picture with Lita Popa. I met Annie Vecchio, who always had a beautiful physique, amazing body. I mean, she was another one like I would say like Nancy, the precursor for women's physique. Here we got here. This is from my man KL. He says, I'm not even going to think about talking to Andrea Shaw. I might as well try to talk to LeBron James. Also he says, I do like Emily Sherbert OnlyFans. It's not that much nudity, but it's nice. And also,
I will say Emily is one of the real ones. She'll post stuff year round. She'll post her off season. She'll post herself in season. She's one of the ones where you'll see what you want. I mean, when I say you see what you want, she'll give you everything that you want in her life just because she's so open about that. Where you'll see her as the fluffiest person she can be, where she'll call herself fat when she's really not. I mean, so many people aren't like that. So if it goes to some of my favorite guests I've had on, Emily Schubert is definitely in the top five because she is definitely someone that is just so upfront and truthful about a lot of things. Now, again, like with some of the drugs and stuff like that, we talk about that behind the scenes because I don't want to out anyone. I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But like, other than that, she is very, very open. And she's one of my favorites.
Yeah, because I got like Jada. She's one of my favorites. She's been on a couple of times. Lady Mary Ann Wachowski. We are still good friends.
Wait, so is Jada competing again now?
I think she said she competed last year. She did. You remember she did Daytona.
Yeah.
And she came on that week after. She wanted to do another show, but she said nah, it was too close. She wanted at least a couple of weeks to recover after Daytona. But she says she's planning on to do 2025 because she has a new job now. She works for UPS, so she's doing deliveries.
Oh God,
yeah, yeah. So
I worked for UPS for 5 years, so I know. Yeah, it's.
I don't know if it's somebody who's works at UPS or Amazon. They often say those are.
I've worked at both. Don't everyone don't.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I worked at Amazon in college, like as a part-time thing. But then I was at UPS. I got all the way up to being the supervisor of airline shipping, and then Jada. I did a podcast with her actually when she was out of bodybuilding. This was before she decided to come back, and I'm never gonna publish it because like I kind of got the feeling that like she wanted to come back in, and there was a lot of truths were spilled in that one. So when I want to get canceled, I might publish that one, but I'm going to, tell her ahead of time, like, hey, is it all right if I do this? But like, I was definitely one of those where after I recorded, I was like, I'm probably not going to publish this one because I think that she's not going to stay retired like she was. But it was so shocking to see her with like little to no muscle on at all, just looking regulars, like kind of like what happened with Katie Lee, where she got really sick that one time. And
Katie, yeah.
I've been trying to have her on since then too, but I think she's more focused on the MMA type stuff now. But
because he does a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments, stuff like that. I think because that's why I do some interviews with ladies because I see similarities between women in mixed martial arts and bodybuilding. They don't get as much recognition as the men counterparts, and then they put just as much work and time. But it's a tougher sport. One lady who did mixed martial arts before called bodybuilder Jay Fuchs. And she fought a lady who, if you know of her, Jermaine Uranime, I call her Go Duck and Run, but they call her the Iron Lady. She's making a return, I think, next month after she took some layoff after she had a child. There's so much similarities. That's why I still interview ladies in MMA every now and then. Not as much as I used to, because sometimes it's hard to get them on. Sometimes my last person interview was Monica Medea. She is a bare knuckle fighter. It's tough. Bare knuckle is tough. You're getting. I interviewed Brittany Hart.
Okay, I should say bare knuckle is the way that fighting should be, honestly, then, because not too many people are going to get hurt, and you're not going to, like, the punches aren't going to be as hard because people don't want to break their knuckles. If you want to have safety in boxing, I've always said just do bare knuckle then.
Well, the problem is, if you see some of the bare knuckle fighters, you can really get hurt. You face get you're a lot more distorted because I remember Brittany fought a girl, she knocked her teeth out. Here's from the man KL. He says, guys are the suckers that the thing is so. Some people can handle it while some can't. Also, he says, I'm talking about porn. True. And he says, Jada ain't my friend, so whatever. So who cares?
I will say this, but like, there's so many times that I've talked to some of the guests off the record, and I've said, like, it's totally fine what you do. I mean, I totally support that. People got to find a way to make money. But like, they don't respect a lot of the people that buy their stuff. For a lot of them, I mean, guys like George, they'll respect you because you're a nice guy and you're genuine. But most of the guys, they kind of look at him and they laugh a little bit, where they're like, I can't believe I'm making money off this guy. And That's one thing that I was shocked by too. But a lot of them are in on it too, and I think it needs to be brought up to the guys too, where it's like, don't go into these things thinking that you're going to start friendships or relationship with a lot of them, because they're just in it for their money. I mean, if you want to really test how much of a friendship you are, tell them, hey, I'm sorry, I can't buy your subscription anymore on OnlyFans, or I can't do any of that, and then see how nice they are to you afterwards. Which, I mean, some of them are genuine. I will tell you, some of them are genuine. I'd say out of the ones I've talked to, I'd say there's like 40 of them. I think I responded to someone in a message like that. I'd say there's like 40 of them that I've really got into that, and I'd say probably about 5 of them are like genuinely like really nice, and they do it just because they like, they like showing off their body, which, I mean, honestly, let's be honest, if you look like some of these people look, I would be naked 24/7, honestly, if I had that show look ever at the time. But a lot of other times too, I mean, it's for money, and they aren't. So I think a lot of guys just got to be aware of that too, where it's like, you're going to get hurt if you go into this thinking that this is something where it could lead to something where it's not. So you got to make sure that, and Claude just said that's good advice, Ryan. I wish that I would be able to reach more people with that, because, I think that would solve so many problems where guys get upset and they just get, put off by these women, and then they do stupid stuff. Like they might stalk them, or they might, I've heard so many horror stories, George, that again, this would be 15 hours long if we wanted to do that. But yeah, you definitely just got to come in there with a level head and just make sure that, like, hey, this is a transaction.
Mm-hmm. This is what advice I give to both the men and women in this situation. And I love, and KL knows I do this because I love quotes. It's my favorite movie, Batman Begins. Great quotes from that movie. And this is from Ra's al Ghul, where he says to Bruce Wayne, be aware of surroundings at all times. Never give a sure footing for a killing blow. And you have to be aware of surrounding the people you're dealing with, because some people, they're just not mentally together. You understand, this is a sport. And what these ladies do, if like I said this, I talk about this quite often, how IFBB and NBC makes money off these competitors. The Olympia, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. No one comes to see, the promoters. No one comes to see the judges. They come to see you guys. And I say like this, it should be more like, one thing is, okay, you pay $300 a year for a pro card, which keeps you registered and keeps you, makes you official. You should be getting some kind of, like, if you was part of a union, and I was a part of a union. One of my jobs, I worked at, it was Smithfield Packing. It was a meat packing processing plant. I was part of a union. When I was almost about to be fired, I went to my union delegate to see my job. I was still sick because at the time after that, I was dealing with my pacemaker and stuff like that, being sick, and because I've had heart conditions, genetic. And it's just, these athletes should get those benefits. But think about it. If you have a job and you have benefits, it takes care of you. If I get sick, okay, I have my short-term disability. I have my, I don't have to pay. Like, one lady told me she had to go to get some blood work done, and it took $600 out of her pocket to pay for it. I mean, little things like that help these athletes. I mean, this is again, even though bodybuilding is a big sport, they make money. They do make a lot. You get these sponsors throwing money at these shows every so often. And just saw recently, they just picked up a new sponsor, but they're giving money towards men's bodybuilding. But here's the thing about women's bodybuilding is not technically governed under. You're still judged, but you're not governed by the IFBB and NBC, truthfully. But still the same. There should be some benefits to. Okay, let's make sure you have your benefits. Okay, like my man, Big Keith, he comes on and we do the live stream together. Must Talk Mondays. He's an ex-football player. He played several years in the NFL. He still gets a pension. If you look at sports like football, basketball, baseball, all the major sports, they even retired. They used to fight for that because they had to fight for that. But the problem is, you said before, everybody's worried more about the short-term money than the long-term money. And when you get out of the sport, you should have something. This is from a man, KL. He says, I'm not trying to fall in love with these broads, where you act sometimes you do. And also,
I will say, Klaus, some of the comments that you post on some of my videos, it seems the exact opposite. So
yeah.
I know you want, Klaus. I'm joking, but sometimes, Klaus, I will say you make some comments on my videos where I'm just like, oh, that's Claw. I guess that's just.
So we just pushing your balls, KLA. We just pushing your balls. So, and some of these women I do respect and are considerate. Yeah, I said that. And also, there has to be a way for these women to get paid more. Yeah, I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow because I have a special guest. That's his named Maria Q. Lieberman. We interviewed about last week.
Oh yeah, I know who that is. Yeah.
Yeah, she started following you. She said she started following your channel, and she says, George, I want to do something. I want to do something with you and KL. I said, okay. And she said she want to do it with two black guys and a Filipino chick. I said, well, we might have three black guys and a Filipino chick or a white chick because I know Lori Butler. She's often sometimes she comes on and we'll do a live stream, but this is what we talk about about the women's division. Well, let's think about this here. Bodybuilding's been around, especially for the women, for a little over 50 years. And the sport has evolved. I remember when if you think about it, actually, it started off like bikini. Then it kind of evolved to figure, and then it evolved from the Rachel McLeod and the Corey Eversons, and then it evolved from to the Linda Murray's and the Kim Zavetsky's, and Iris Kyle and Alina Popa, and Andrea Shaw and Angela Yo, and you look at Natalia Coelho, and you look at Sarah Vilgas. It's the sport is just evolving. But like I said, the thing is, we talk about this. The guidelines need to be set. They always have criteria set for the other division, especially for my men's classic or men's physique, but they don't really sit down and set the guidelines for the women other than bikini and wellness.
Yeah. I mean, it's been so ever changing that I really don't understand how they're able to keep it like it is. Because if you look at how, the figure competitors were when I first started even doing the interviews, that's bikini now. You look at the physique competitors, that's the figure competitors now. I mean, just how much bigger, and there needs to be something that needs to be done about how they need to regulate things, because honestly, like I said in that rant that I had, which by the way, that's not even a rant. If you want to see me ranting, you would be scared, because like I get really into it. So anyone who's like, oh, that's a huge rant, it's like, no, that's not a rant. That's me, raising my voice like 2 times and a thing. But anyway, I honestly think that they need to, find a way, because I'm shocked that there is not that many people that have died. I'm shocked that it was only 4 guests I've had on. Like I said, there's 30 or 40 that if I were to get a message right now saying that they died, I would not be surprised. I would just be like, oh, well, I guess that's thing. And then there needs to be something to be changed. And like I said, too, in the rant, where it's like, if you're to do their blood work, it's like, you should not be coming out as the opposite sex on your blood work. And again, I have to say this a million times. It doesn't mean that I'm calling you a man, but I'm just saying, if the computer says that this is the blood work of a man, that if we're doing this, but so there needs to be something that needs to be changed about that as well, because I know the sport's never going to be mainstream. I've said this a million times. It never will be, just because it's so niche. But if you want to get any semblance of the general public to be into it, the moment that they find out about this stuff that happens behind the scenes, and the moment they find out about the drug abuse, it's going to turn off 99.999% of the people. So there needs to be a way where, obviously, drugs are always going to be in the sport. It's never going to change. There's going to be drugs, and if I'm being honest, I went to a natural show. It wasn't that entertaining. It's people at the natural shows. Yeah, you can get in shape, but you don't have the freaks that a lot of people want to see. And it's human nature to see the freaks and the people where they're on the extreme on the stage. So there needs to be a way, but it needs to be regulated. And there needs to be a way that is just, safe for the guests. And again, I don't know how to do it. I have never done a show before. I have never been a promoter, but I just wanted to just get a conversation started so that people could talk about it. And hey, maybe it gets to a promoter and they figure out something. I do want to start to get some promoters on to talk to them and just pick their brain about how they do it, and the pricing too. Dear God, I went to one show and it wasn't even a pro show, and it was like $45 for the morning and like $60 for the night. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember when I went to Savannah, it was like, I think about 85 for the I was just going for that was for if you want to be up like close to the front, that's like for VIP, like 80 to 90. And then the evening show was like $100 something, and then I had to put in the cost of my Uber and maybe my hotel room, and and the thing is, I think one thing is, I remember this was said to me by one lady. I think I'm going to say Margie Martin said this to me. I was asking for an interview. She said, try to talk to promoters. They're not going to talk to me, because you know what? I'm just a small guy. If you're like this, I want to talk to you athletes. You're the ones who truthfully have your boots on the ground. Like guys like Jake, I got to do it every time I say this. Yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. I have suicide, say Jake would say. And what he did, he saved his bodybuilding. But now he's going in a direction where he's become more of the part of the system. There was great Wing Street with their basketball program was great. Some people I talked to say like they were doing pretty good, but till certain people weren't playing their role like supposed to. And you got to think about it. You were getting maybe $3,000-$5,000, and then you think about it. That's more we will ever get out of just not doing nothing, just going to the booths and setting up and taking pictures and stuff like that. It's just this is where the sport needs to sit down and say, like, after, remember you said that they should like take suspend the sport for a year,
Yep.
have a convention, have everybody come together, sit down, say, okay, what we need to do, what we need to do for to save this sport. One thing, one talk about, like one issue she don't like the idea of it is someone like The Rock come and get involved in it. And one thing was the problem was if The Rock comes involved, what happened where they're gonna put some kind of clause where a lot of these ladies do OnlyFans and then the meet websites, they're gonna lose some money. And we
Well,
all
the problem with The Rock is that he's always denied using steroids too, and if he comes in and does a bodybuilding thing, then everyone's like, "Dude, you're basically admitting it." Which, Rock, let's just be honest with people. That's one thing. Actors too, just admit that you're on roids. I just saw the Iron Claw a couple nights ago, and like Zac Efron, like you can see zits all over his chest and stomach, and it's like, dude, you are on some serious cycles here. Just open up about that and be honest about that in general. It's like, yeah, obviously you still train your butt off to get into that role, but it's like you got to be honest about that because people don't get jacked in 3 or 4 months and put on 20 pounds of muscle without taking some serious stuff.
Yeah, because we talked about earlier, we talked about Sylvester Stallone, and Dolph Lundgren when they did the Rocky movies. You look at guys like Wesley Snipes. This is a quote from MMA fighter Nick Diaz. Everybody taking roids. And then there was a whole, remember, as you know, you're a big baseball fan, they had that whole congressional hearing when the baseball players were taking it. But the fact is, everybody overlooks when you have the mainstream sports like boxing, MMA, baseball, football. They take it, and you have die from steroid use, but they take a blind eye. They look at bodybuilding and put their phone and say, "Hey, you're always on this, on that." But
because they're the easiest targets. They're obviously doing stuff, so that's why they know that they can catch them.
Yeah, we got here from man Lawrence Perkins coming through. Shout out to Lawrence, thank you, brother. He's always here. Ladies love him. He's the female bodybuilding whisperer. He says, George, good afternoon, George, Ryan, KL, and everyone in the chat. Thank you, man.
I'm aware of Lawrence. He's sent me messages. I appreciate Lawrence. I've gotten a lot of good things said about him.
Yeah, that's a great guy. Here's this from KL. Said there are characters of a man. Yeah, sometimes. And also, this is from the Female Bodybuilding Forum. That's my man David Brown over there. Great to see you both. Show pricing is crazy, too expensive. And it was just I was thinking about going to a show last year. My niece, she's my older niece, she lives in Atlanta. I was thinking about going to the Linda Murray show in Atlanta because I would love. I had some ladies reach out and say, "Hey George, if you can come down and come to these shows," I say, "Okay." But I live on Social Security. I get a little check a month. I try to see some inside. That year, I had to get some work done on my car. Oh God, I hate my car. I just want to push it off the mountain.
George, you ever think about starting an OnlyFans page yourself now to support yourself? I think you would be a hit.
I don't know, man. I don't think anyone want to see me. Maybe
people can see the pacemaker and everything, man. You got to do that.
I think people. I mean, one time when the girls told me, "Said George, you need to get on the stage," and nah, they'd be throwing bananas at me because I got hair on me.
You need to dress up in anime, definitely too. I think that would be. You would have your niche there. I think honestly.
But I don't know, man. OnlyFans not for me. Hey, there's some guys with some foot stuff and some fat guy stuff. But this is for my man. I was Ryan. You ever did sessions?
Nope. And I honestly don't have any intent. I mean, the most I felt 2 biceps when I did my in-person podcast, and I did it for a thumbnail as a joke. And that was enough. That was enough for me. One of them, I won't mention which one, said you can kiss it too to really show up to people and like really do that. And I was like, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna do that. But I get why people would do that. I mean, it's fascinating when you were with someone that's in that shape and you just want to just feel like what that's like to be like that. And I totally understand that, but it's not for me. But I respect the guys that do that. And as long as you don't, like I've said before, as long as you don't be weird about it and like try to follow these people home and do all that stuff. But otherwise, if it's if it's a transaction between 2 people that both parties are agreed with, I have no problems with it myself. I won't do it myself. But it's something that I know it's a part of the sport, and I actually know that there are some women that actually genuinely enjoy it. Some of them don't like it, and I mean, I've heard stories that like you can tell that some of them don't like it, but I've talked to quite a few of them. There's a handful at least that, quite enjoy it and they feel powerful. And I can see there's a positive for both sides.
Yeah. Because a while back I interviewed Michelle Falsetta. She used to be a bodybuilder, but she runs her own group, his own thing, which is sessions. It's called Velvet Row. And KL, he knows about her because he's interviewed her. And I heard her husband a couple of was on for a live stream interview. And the sessions thing is because here's the thing is with the women bodybuilding side of it, it's always going to be men who follow them more than in anything. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the guys who, are with, we all know we can call it schmoes, but it's because
George, I'm sorry, but I have to interrupt you. I do have to say this. When I did my rant on schmoes, which was a huge thing. I am not talking about every single schmo. And I think most people realize that, but there are some guys that thought that I was attacking the entire schmo community. I'm not. There's a majority of guys in the schmo community that I think are taking things way too far, but there is, out of the ones I've talked to, there are dozens of them where they're just good guys that just enjoy, a woman that's in shape, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And they're completely respectful and everything. I was just talking to the vast majority of them that tend to put things way too far. And a lot of it is because some of them aren't from, they're from countries where I don't know if they really have that much when it comes to respecting women. I think so. I think a lot of, like, you have your Saudi Arabia people from, or you have people from India where it's not really, PC hasn't really gotten over there that much. So they still live kind of in a society where women aren't, as valued as they should be. So I think a lot of them just come over, they comment on people's Instagrams and they think that they should treat them like that. I'll probably get canceled for saying that, but honestly, George, I don't care at this point. But yeah, I honestly just think that, schmoes, it's not a derogatory term. There's nothing wrong with being a guy that likes women's muscle. I enjoy it. I don't enjoy it like a schmo. I mean, I would consider myself a minor schmo where it's like, yeah, because I talk to women with muscle, but I wouldn't consider myself like one of those where it's like, oh my God, I have to see her, do this and I have to, go up and and I understand guys that are like that. I mean, I'm dating a dietitian who's, skinny and has a little bit of size on her. She's tall. I do like tall women. I will say that. I'll give that away just because I want to have freakishly tall kids.
You might my man, the coach. He loves Amazons. He loves tall women.
And when I say tall, it doesn't have to be like super tall, but I'm talking like we're talking like 5'8", 5'9", just because I'm 6'3", and I want to have giants for kids. I want to have kids that just dominate every athletic event that they do. And so, when I get a 6-foot guest on, I'm like, that's the only reason I'm attracted to him. Is like, I'm attracted to you because you're 6 feet tall, honestly. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, me, I'm 5'7". I need a woman that's maybe a little shorter. Maybe, I don't know, if one woman that tall. Shout out to Michaela, says it ain't for everyone. Shout out to him, appreciate that. Also, this is from Ann Lawrence. It says, "Hey Ryan, I enjoy your post and speaking out about the bad side of the sport. Some things needs to be talked about as well." Yeah, and also this is from a man. Kelly says, "We get it, Ryan. There are the weirdos out there. Yes, there are. And somebody have told me some stories. I mean, you ever played basketball, Ryan?
Yes, I did. I played it in high school. I was a power forward. So if anyone out there really follows the NBA, have you ever heard of a guy named Tyus Jones? He plays in the NBA still. He's from Minnesota. I believe I got 17 points against him when I had to guard him, and he was a stud back then. But I was a shooter. I would just sit at the 3-point line and just shoot threes and crash the boards every once in a while. But yeah, I played basketball. I played football where I was a tight end, and then I played baseball where I was a pitcher. So I didn't have that much free time in high school, but yeah, basketball, out of the 3 sports that I did, it was probably my second favorite behind baseball. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, I played football when I was in high school. I was defensive tackle, defensive end. I played secondary sometimes. I wasn't that good. My brother was my brother James. He was really good. He played in college for a couple of years, but he came back home because he was more. He felt like he was a small fish in a big pond when he came back. But he was the one who got me started because he used to collect the muscle mags. Like I came up at the end of around about the end of the Schwarzenegger era, the start of Heaney, Lita Brada. You had Samir Bannout, and then people like Corey Everson and Angela Langer and Carla Dunlap just kind of just blew my probation mind because I was getting to my teenage years and just looking at those women are so different, so beautiful. Like if you have a list of your top favorites women in the sport, who would they be?
Let's see here. Well, Tiffany Boyle was one of my favorite conversationalists to have. I have a third podcast that I did with her like right during the pandemic, but I couldn't publish it because our audio was just so out of shape that like you could barely hear what's going on. And she's now stopped competing, and I message her probably like every 6 months just being like, hey, ready whenever you are. And she says, yeah, thanks. I'm just not ready at the moment. But I would say so she's definitely on there. Lori Buckley is one of my favorites. She is just one of the nicest ones I've talked to, and I still communicate with her. I still text her every once in a while just to stay in touch. I think she's done competing as well. But out of the ones that are still there, Emily Schubert's definitely up there. I would probably have to say Katie Lee was. No, she's not competing, but she still is one of my favorite guests that I've had on. And, she's one of those. There's a handful that I have on where literally they could message me at midnight saying, I need to talk right now. And I'd get me 15 minutes and we'll be good to go. Rose Black for sure. She might be my favorite. Rose Black. She's one of those where whenever I have a rant that I feel like talking about, I always message her on Instagram and I say, hey, do you have time to talk? And then she'll go on Skype with me and we'll go ahead and laugh about it, but yeah, it's so Rose Black, and then hang on, I've done like what 5 now, so I'll do another 5 here, but I'll make it quick. Let's see here. I would say I'm just trying to think right now. Who's the guest I've had? Oh, Lindsay Diaz. I can't believe I forgot about her, even though she's been dodging me the last time to come on. She's definitely on there. Yeah, that's really all I can think of right now. We can keep talking. Whenever I think of one, I'll just spout it out there. Because again, George, the problem when you've talked to as many guests as I've talked to is that you forget a lot of them. There have been times where I message someone to try to have them on, and then I realized that I had them on a year ago, and I'm just sending them the same, like, "Hey, you want to come on the podcast?" message. So that's the problem. But I'll think of something while we're talking. We can.
Yeah. Okay. We got here for K. He's picking on me. He says you that short, George, 5'7". So that's probably average height of most men. Not everybody that tall.
Yeah, it's
Also,
like 5'6" in the country. So yeah, you're an inch above average. You should be proud of that.
Does Ryan have a female bodybuilder? Well, he just mentioned it a while ago. That's the man, David. I wasn't a good basketball. I just had a endurance to play, and I did get better. Yeah. Also, this is from female body form. Says Lori is Iron Wife. We appreciate that. Yeah. Somebody who I'm a fan of. I'm gonna always say like this. I love Andrea Shaw. I think she's just beautiful. She has a great physique, great look. She's the one that brought new life for women's bodybuilding. If I go old school, Vicky Gates is one of my favorites. She was just so beautiful. One person I see similarities to in Vicky is Mela Ash.
Leanna Kaplan. I just thought about that. She's up there too.
Yeah. Also, way back in the day, she was a German competitor. Her name is Krista Bach. I did a video
I know
about
her. Yeah, she was insane. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't believe she was like in her late 40s. Mm-hmm. She's one of the few women in early bodybuilder that was a mother and a bodybuilder. You have people like her, like Zena King. There was a couple others like Zena King, Vicky Gates. They were the first, and Zena was the first mom Miss Olympia. You don't have that many women in the sport now, but and back then there weren't that many that had kids. Diane Dennis was one of them. A couple others I can think of off the top of my head. But now you see a lot more women in the sport coming in who have, like, I know Tina. She has her kids. Tina Williams. A lady who I've become good, friendly with. Charlotte Boswell, with her and her wife, they have 2 babies. Their own, but his wife have it. And, it's just you've seen a good number of mature women come into sport. Like I watched one of these weird lady. I think Miss Sutton. I think her name was.
What was it again?
I think it was Sutton. I think she was Sutton or something. I can't remember. She was the lady with the goats and the sheep.
Oh, Lexi Bentley.
Benton. Okay, it was Sutton. Yeah. And it's just, you see more women come into sport. Like back in the day, I think one thing is